afternoon, everyone. So, today's agenda for this session is like what is HTML, what is CSS, and how we create a website using these. Okay. So, basically, HTML is a building block of any website, right? So, it's a markup language for web pages, and we can create our own websites using simple HTML, CSS. And here is a structure, basic structure for the HTML. So starting with this doc type. So doc type is basically like a tag to use, like to know about the browser of the version of the like HTML. So before the HTML5, right now we are using the HTML5, and before HTML5 and the other older version, we have to write more here about the version of the HTML. And right now we are with HTML5. We will write only HTML here in the doc type. So basically, this is the HTML structure which is having these tags HTML, and all closing and opening tag are there, and mainly the body tag is here. The which the view we are seeing in the browser is under the body tag, inside the body tag. And so here there are three main blocks of HTML, like HTML, CSS, and JS. So basically, HTML is as I said, a building block of any website, and then we use CSS to beautify our website, and JS we use to for the functionality. Okay, so here is a to know about this HTML. HTML is if we compare HTML CSS with our body, then this is skeleton is the HTML, and CSS to beautify this, and JS is the functionality, like the blood circulation is here showing that the whole functionality of our body parts. So if we have three type of editor and more editors we use in HTML. Like first one is this is Sublime Text, this is Visual Studio Code and Notepad plus plus. Or we can use any of the other, like we can use normal Notepad also to create a simple like small web page, right? So here these are the main editors we use to create our web page. And then coming toward these frameworks we use with HTML, like Bootstrap is a simple framework which we use with HTML to create like more responsive websites. And then Angular and Vue are totally in the front end. These include JS also to like we can use APIs also in these two, not in Bootstrap. Bootstrap is a simple for like creating a structure with HTML, and this will provide some classes, basic classes, with which we can simply divide our blocks in the web page. Okay, so if we want to start with creating a normal web page with using HTML and CSS. So firstly, what we do is like firstly we will create a folder structure for our web page. So if we have to create a new folder here, firstly we have a folder for CSS, we have a folder for JS, we have a folder here for images. And if let me clear more about the CSS. So CSS is basically a cascading style sheet, and it is used to beautify the element. And for this, we have three types of CSS we use. First is inline, which is included in the tags itself. We use directly in the tags. And then internal style sheet. Internal style sheet is like we use within the page, the HTML page. And the external is like external style sheet. We have to link a style sheet, like create a external style sheet, and we link that style sheet with the HTML page. Here is a basic structure of HTML. Doctype, as I mentioned, that it defines the HTML version here, and then HTML starting tag, HTML closing tag, and then after this there is a head tag, which includes meta tag and title. So meta tag is are basically like, firstly, this is a basic meta tag we have to use in our web page to like, it is for the viewport, like when we use our web page on mobiles, so that will automatically check the device, and according to the viewport it can adjust the website accordingly. And here is a title. Title is basically when we load our web page on the browser, so it shows the title of the web page. Like here we add my web page. So let's save this file, and when we run this file over the browser, so it will show the title over here, that my web page. Okay, so this is the title. And here for the meta tags, we have multiple meta tags which we use in websites. Like uh, taking an example, if we search for SoftProdigy. So here, and there are description of the website, right, and other information of the website. This is coming from SEO, and this is a description of the website. So we can add this description over here in the meta tags, which will help. Some of the meta tags are help in SEO, and some of the meta tags are used for description. If we start a meta tag and we give name is like specify for what purpose we giving this meta tag. So if meta tag we use, we add here keywords and add a content over here, like if we're creating a website related to like travel, we add a travel keyword here, and then booking hotels. So these are the content, and these are the keywords which help in the SEO for the website. And if we have to add a description for the website, so we can use here name, description, and then add a content over here, like your it's online with us. So this is the little description about the website, which we add here in meta tag. Okay, so the main content we will start over here is in the body. So with this web page, so firstly we will start with the header. So here is the header tag we use for headers mostly. It is having the open and closing tag. So we can also give a comment over here to like, it is a header section. We can use here comment for this header, and then let's get started with the other elements. So firstly We check here. This is a normal text for the logo purpose, and this is the other navbar options. So firstly, we will take divs. So let's add a class over here, like for the logo, and then we can add another div here, which is for the navigation. Firstly, we will add here uh, h3 tag for the logo. There is a text, I think, landing. We can use a logo here. And for the navigation, I think you all know about these unordered list. There are two type of list we use in the HTML. There is a UL tag which is uh, unordered list, and one is OL which is having order list. So order list is will display the numeric with every line of text, and for the UL it will only show the bullets for the every text we add inside this li. So let's add here home about. We add this only, so this will show like this. Because it's a simple HTML, we didn't use here CSS. So if we have to beautify this, so we have to add a CSS, and here the internal style sheet if we want. So with the style tag, we can use over here the internal style sheet if we want to give logo. So here it is coming like this for font size 12 pixel from the logo, and it is showing that index.html, like we giving this from the HTML file. And so if like we are not preferring this, um, we are mostly prefer that external style sheet. So if we want to link a external style sheet, we can use here link and relation style sheet over here, then type text slash css, and then we can use here href for our external style sheet. So we can create a new file over here. We can save this. So we can save this inside this css folder, .css, with the extension of .css. So we have to add a link over here for that style sheet. So we can give, so firstly it's inside the we have a file here index.html, and we have a file inside css folder. So we can go css style dot css. So if we want to give like this header and body, so we will give margin 0 and also padding 0 for the HTML and body, so that it will not take a by default space from the corners of the web page. So firstly we go with the header background. So we will use hash code here, triple D for the color. So here is the color. Firstly, we have to divide these two sections like this. Okay. So we go with the HTML and check there is two logo and one is navigation. So what we do is well, here what we using is like firstly we use header for this and then the class inside this header that is logo. So we will take a logo with width of 30% of this web page, and then the other one is dot navigation. We take width of 60%. So these are taking their width and they are adding a margin over the right, space over the right. So if we want them in a single line, so we have to use a float over here. Float is a CSS property, like we can do float left, float right. So if we give float left over here and float left here also, then it will be in the single line. So this logo and this. So I have given 30% of width to this and then 60% width to this. So we have a total web page width is having 100%. So this is like 60, this is 30, and this is 60. So we have a left of 10% of width over here. So after that, we will have to align these in the single line. Okay. So what we have to do is navigation dot navigation, then inside this UL, and inside this LI. So we have to change the display property over here. So display inline block, block inline, inline table. There are multiple properties of display. So here we are using a display inline block so that they are in single line. If we use here display block, they will be a block element like on the separate line. Or, and if we have to use here inline block so that they will be in a single line. Now what our design is look like. Here is a lining. We have a space in the left, space in the right, and then this is in the center. So what we do first, we have to take a wrapper around these two divs so that we can make it a center and keep the space on the left and right. So what I did here is taking a wrapper to these two divs. So then for the wrapper, see, the wrapper is not taking these two divs inside this because it is having a float left over these. Right? So for the wrapper, we will give firstly width 100% and we will give display table property. So table property, what a table property will do, this will take these two sections, this inside this whole div because these are floating elements, because this is float left, this is also float left, these two are floating elements. So we have to take these inside this wrapper. So we will give display table. Without this, this will not take them inside because these two are floating elements. So here we are adding a table, display table property. So what we have to do is we have to add a space left and right over here. So I think we will reduce this width to 85%. So it is giving margin to the right, like adding a space to the right only. And like to check this, we can add background red. So it is adding a space to the right because it is 85% of this whole 100% div. So it is coming to the left. So we have to move this to center so that it will allow left and right equal space. So we can add over here margin 0 auto. So this will add a margin to both sides equally and add a space on the left and right side. So if we want more space on the left and right side, we can reduce this width and we can increase this width according to the web page design. So we are taking it 85. So let's add this style in the wrapper. We are removing this background. So here it is. So now what we required is this is a totally floating to the right side. So if we change this to right, so it will add a space of the 10%. Like if it is having 30%, it is having 60%. So it will adding a space of a 10% here only. Okay. So we will change this to right, and then this li we need a spacing between these, right? So let's add a spacing between li. So we have a padding we can give in single line. So this will take padding top, right, bottom, left. If we use like this, we can also define like padding top separately, like 10 pixel, padding bottom 10 pixel. We can use separate also. So if we want to give a padding or any of like margin and padding on the single line for all sides. So it is taking like 10 pixel, 10 pixel. It is taking like top, right, bottom, and then left. So it is taking like this. So if we want like margin, padding and spacing like this one, so we can add over here. So or if we want, if we need equal space for the all sides, then we can give normally padding 10 pixel. So if like let's add this in the li. So for the UL, there is a default property of padding left and then margin also. So if we not need these, then we can add margin 0 and padding left also 0. We can add a text line right to this UL so that the navigation will be on the right side like this one, right? So we will add this and we will add to dot navigation and then UL. Now we have to add a space over here in the center. So we can normally use margin and padding to equal add a equal space over here. Or there is a flex we use that is a little advanced level from the CSS, so that we will not cover in this session. So firstly, like also reduce this margin that is having a default. So margin 0, it will look like this. we reduce all the margins spacing from every element over here. So it is like dot logo and then three, I think. Yes. So now we can give a header like a minimum height if we need like this 70 pixel. And we can change h3 line height. So what it will do, it will change the line height and it will make it center according to the navigation. So here is the h3. So here is a navigation, but here is a landing page which is having this blue background over here and no background over this navigation. So what we will do to change this, we will add a div over here like main section. So you have to give the class name as and taking this header inside this so that we can give this section with 100% by default, and then we can use background this. We can change a background from here like it is like a little sky blue color. Right now it is not showing because the header is having the background and the section is this much long. So we can give a minimum height to this section so that we can add a content over here and we can check this. Next we will give 500 pixel. It will show minimum 500 pixel. If we give a fixed height to this height 500 pixel and if the content over this main section is exceeding 500 pixel, so the content is showing after this like out of this box like this blue box. And if we give a minimum height, and what it will do is it will take a minimum height of 500 pixel, and if the content is more than 500 pixel over here, then it will automatically adjust the height, but not in the case of height will only a fix and the content is outside of this box. So we will prefer this minimum height so that if a dynamic text will come to this section, then it will adjust the height automatically. So here we will give this background to the main section, and we will remove this background from the header because it is not having any background. So it will look like this. Right? So here we have to add a link over these, right? What we will do is taking this inside a anchor tag and add a href over here to like the anchor tag. The basic style is applied to this like anchor tag which is having the underline of for every link, right? So we if we need then we can keep it at as it is, and if we don't need then we can add a style to this. So it is inside a navigation li, then anchor tag. So this known as text decoration none. If we use none, then the underline will not come. And if we want a underline to any text, then we can use underline over here. So if here we don't need this, so we are adding text decoration none. So it is removed now, right? So if we want to change its color and font size, so we can change if we want a white color and then font size 14 pixel 15, whatever we want, we can change this. So after that, form section, then here we are taking a form tag, which is default HTML tag, form tag. So now we can, what we need here, sign up for free and then input fields. So let's take over here h4, sign up free, and then let's start with the input. So here is the default input tag, right? So input type, there are multiple types of input. We can use text, we can use email, we can use here number, and we can use phone. So according to the requirement, we can use we can define here type of the input. So by default, we'll take as a text, but we have to define here as a input type text. So some of the front-end languages will support this like this one, but some of the language will not support. So we can use a closing tag here in this. Like here for the divs, we have a opening and closing tag is separate, but for the input we can use a like closing tag inside this. So it is opening and closing tag on the same tag. So if we normally check this, it will show like this, right? But we want this inside the main section. So we will move this form section inside the main section. The first is header and then form section we will add here. So we can also move this comment inside this because we are starting header inside the main section. It will come like this, right? So if we want this form inside the center, so firstly what we will do is, so here like taking this white background as a main wrapper to this. So let's take this form as a background white, and what we give here is width 100%, means it will take the maximum percentage of this, and then we will give max width, like it will take maximum width to this one, not exceed that. So we will give here 400 pixel to this, right? So if we want it in center, so here like we did here, to make this wrapper a center, we will add, we have added a margin 0 auto, right? So we also use that same property over here, margin 0 auto. So it will add this form to the center. So here is a spacing outside this, right? So I think approximately equal on the left and right, and top and bottom is different. So what we will do is add a padding, 10 pixels, 10 pixels. So left and right it is more, I think approximately this one, and we can add top bottom more than 30 pixels. 30 pixels. So we will add this to form dot form section and then form. So we will add like this. So, and then we need this h4 in the center, so we can use the property text line center and font size 40 pixel, or I think we can give this. We can remove the margin top here because it is taking by default margin from the top, so we can make it 0. So we will add here like this dot form section and then form, and then this h3 h4. So with this input, we are added only input type text, so this will look like this. So if we want to style this and use this more attribute of this, like here full name is showing and the background color is different. Firstly, what we add here is a placeholder. So placeholder will show in the field, but when we write something over the field, then it will remove this placeholder and add the text over the field. So this is the placeholder showing like this, and so let's design this input field. So firstly, what we do is we need width 100% of this field, right? And then we need spacing from the left and right side of the field. So we will give padding like this, right? And we will give border to 0 pixel and background to what we required according to the design. And if we require minimum height to this field, then we can give accordingly 30 pixel. So here inside this form section, form, and then input, we will give this style. After that, here what we see here is like we have a padding left and right equal, but it's not showing properly because we have to use a border sizing for this. Like here is a margin padding, it is showing the property of the every element like padding, border, and then margin. The box sizing property, what it will do, it will include the padding and border on the element. So we will define over here. We can include star. Star is used for like it will apply to every element of this web page. We will apply here border, box sizing, border box. So you are able to see here left and right spacing is not equal. Now this will take all the margin and padding inside the border box and it will allow these margin padding equally. So if we remove this, see it will ex- excluding the margin padding from the particular element width. And if we include this, then it will include the margin inside this element with the particular width. So the form width is 400 I have given here. If we, so it is showing here in the left side 400 pixel. If I remove this box size in border box, then it will exclude the padding from this width. It is showing that 470 pixel width of the form. So it will not include the padding to the object or the element. And then if we use this, then it will include this padding of the for in the element. So with this, we can use every input. We can use another input here like this. And if we need a spacing over here, we can include the spacing. So if I have to add a button over here, and then type of button is submit. If we want to submit the form, it's a simple button, right? So if I add here a input type email, so when we add a normal validation over here, then it will show the default errors validations for this. Like you have to enter an accurate email for this. You have to enter a particular, if we use input type number, so it will give a error according to that particular type of the input field. If we use number, then it will show like this. So we can also use here min length to like 2 or 3 or 5, and then max length to 7. Not work here with the min max. For every input field, we can add a div over here on field, so that we can separate these div like the input fields with the spacing, and we can specify if anything we want separate for the every field. So we will include here a spacing between them. Um, one field. We can give equal space between these two, these all input fields. So thanks everyone for your time.